What if I told you that what you call doubt is already love in its raw form? Yes. What if this silence, the absence of clear signs, the emotional battles he shows or perhaps hides, are actually the purest way his unconscious has found to tell you he has already chosen you? This video is not about guessing or romantic illusions. This is a deep dive into the subtleties of the human soul, where, as Carl Jung taught, the truest feelings don't shout, they whisper. If you listen, you'll understand. He's in love with you much more than he can admit. And the most powerful sign of this may already be here, right in front of you. Today you won't just hear an explanation. You'll clearly see everything you've always felt. But what, in the opinion of the whole world, was exaggerated. You'll understand why true love rarely comes with confidence. It comes in the guise of doubts, confusion, bewildering silence, and looks that say more than any declaration. Carl Jung said that what doesn't come into consciousness manifests as fate. And in love, this is cruelly true, because sometimes the mind doesn't understand yet, but the soul has already recognized it. Perhaps you've already encountered this. That man who contradicts himself, who comes closer then pulls away, who looks at you as if he sees the whole world, but then says he doesn't know what he feels, who seems to care about you in details, but doesn't dare assume what you feel. He's not cruel, he's contradictory, because true love disarms, and many men don't know what to do with it. And this is where the mystery begins, what Jung would call responses from the unconscious. He doesn't say, but he notices, he observes, he remembers, he changes, the tone of his voice, his body, his eyes. Everything around begins to react to your presence in ways he himself doesn't understand, because the soul acts before consciousness. Have you noticed this? How he hears your "I'm fine" and understands it's not. How he remembers some little thing you commented on weeks ago. How his gaze changes when you arrive. How he accompanies you in silence, and in that silence there is presence. There is surrender. There is truth without words. These aren't details. These are signs that his soul has already recognized you. But love, when it's real, stirs what was locked away. It deprives you of control. It disorganizes certainty. That's why many men resist. They don't know how to deal with what they feel, so they rationalize. They run away. They force themselves to be silent. They create distance. But this doesn't mean they don't love. It means the feeling is so real that it frightens them. And you feel this, because your soul has recognized it too. Even when everything seems ambiguous, as if something deep inside you says, this is not an illusion. There's something here. But why does it hurt then? Because love that hasn't yet been acknowledged by consciousness creates conflict. You wonder, aren't you exaggerating? Aren't you imagining something? Aren't you deceiving yourself? But the truth is, you see more than he does, because you look with your soul. Carl Jung taught us that we often project onto others what we want to find in ourselves, and in this case, what you see in him may be a reflection of the love you yourself are ready to experience, but aren't ready for yet. And this difference in time between two souls hurts. You're already where he still needs to be. But how do you know if he really feels this? The answer is not in words. It's in the unconscious, in how he changes when he's near you, as if he becomes lighter, more human, more vulnerable, as if he allows himself to be himself without masks, as if, without knowing how to explain it, he feels that with you he can let his guard down. This is when his gaze softens, when he truly listens to you, when he falls silent but is still present. This is when he notices you cut your hair without saying anything about it, when he asks you about something you said long ago, when he appears without reason, when he worries about your pain, not knowing how to help, but still trying. These are the real signs, small, imperceptible, but constant, because true love doesn't need fireworks. It manifests in almost invisible gestures, in details that no one can see but your soul feels. But here's the big question. If he feels all this, why doesn't he say it? Because true feeling is not born in the realm of the mind. It's born in the unconscious, and the unconscious doesn't speak in words. It acts through symbols, instincts, involuntary movements, with absence that disturbs, with longing it cannot name, with a gesture it repeats without understanding why. He still doesn't understand, but he already feels it, and you must understand this. The time of the soul is not the same as the time of the mind. You're dealing with love that's born in the deepest layers of his being, love that's still forming, love that's still fighting the walls he's built for self-protection, love that may be the first to truly touch him. That's why he hesitates, that's why he's confused, that's why he contradicts himself, because the feeling is stronger than his rational ability to digest it, and this destabilizes him. But unconscious love is the most real, because it doesn't depend on choice, intention, or strategy. It simply happens. Jung said that the unconscious, if ignored, directs our lives, and we call this fate. And perhaps this is exactly what's happening with him now. His soul recognizes fate in you, even if his mind doesn't understand it yet. And when this happens, everything changes. The way he thinks, the way he moves, the way his world, without any explanation, begins to reorganize around you. So don't attach to what he says. Observe what he does. Observe how he perceives you even in the midst of chaos. How he finds ways to be near you. How sometimes he contradicts himself because he's trying to deny what the unconscious has already decided. If you feel confused, it's because you're facing love that's still being born, but it's born from the most sacred place, a space where the soul acts before consciousness. And the first sign of this, perhaps you've already seen it. You just haven't named it yet, but you will, because in the next few minutes, you'll dive into the deepest signs that Jung taught us to perceive. You'll understand how his energy changes with you, how he begins to protect you in invisible ways, how he thinks of you when you're not around, and why, even without the courage to say it, he's already deeply in love. You'll see not what he says, but what his soul screams in silence. And perhaps at the end of all this, you'll discover something even deeper, that this connection didn't start now, and perhaps not even in this lifetime. Have you ever felt that someone sees you but not with their eyes? That there's something in how they look at you, even if they don't realize they're looking, something that vibrates at a frequency you can't explain but you feel deeply, as if for a few seconds he forgets the world, and you become the silent center of everything he cannot name. He quickly looks away, changes the subject, pretends nothing happened. But it did happen. His soul caught it. True love, as Carl Jung taught, doesn't enter through the door of logic. It slips through the cracks of the unconscious. That's why people don't know how to handle it. They try to rationalize. They try to keep it under control. But when it comes to deep feelings, control is the first thing you lose. And what comes next is what you're feeling right now, that silent whirlwind. When you understand the connection exists, but it hasn't been spoken yet, and perhaps it never will be. Because the strongest feeling between two people doesn't always manifest in words. It's how he watches you when he thinks you're not looking, when he mentions your name without realizing it, when he saves stories to tell you later, when he becomes quieter when he's with you. But this silence is different. It's presence, not absence. These are moments when the soul speaks, and you feel it, even if no one else sees it. How many times have you remembered a small gesture, when he suddenly appeared, or when he worried about you over something minimal, almost trivial, or when he was silent but stayed, or when you cried inside and he seemed to understand without saying a word. These are signs of love born in the unconscious, and often it stays there, never becoming a confession. But what if this is already love? What if this person who confuses you with words has already confessed everything to you in silence? Can you remember a time when he defended you publicly, even subtly? Or when someone spoke about you and he looked at you differently, as if something disturbed him inside? These little moments are windows. His soul screams in these details, but he doesn't know it. Not yet. His mind is still trying to protect itself. Maybe he's been hurt before. Maybe he's learned that vulnerability is weakness. Maybe he doesn't even know how to deal with something so genuine. Because yes, when someone feels something real, something inside breaks and rebuilds. You may not realize it, but everything is already changing. Sometimes it happens imperceptibly. They start taking interest in your ideas, listen more attentively to your opinion. They change their tone of voice, adapt their plans, and it all seems random, but it's not. He's internally reorganizing himself, because true love messes everything up, and it beautifully messes everything up. Have you ever seen this happen? A man who was full of reason suddenly begins to waver. He becomes more thoughtful, more real, even more unstable. This isn't indecision. This is transition. It's his unconscious doing the work of dismantling old defenses and making room for what's being born. The image of you in his world. And perhaps he's still fighting it. How many men, when they start to truly love, hold back? Not because they don't feel it, but because they feel too much. Because suddenly you represent something more than just a pleasant presence. You represent transformation, a possible break with who he thought he was. You unwittingly demand that he look at himself anew, that he see himself from the outside, and this frightens him. That's why he contradicts himself. That's why he approaches then disappears. That's why he sometimes seems distant, but reappears exactly when you're ready to give up. This is not coincidence. This is reaction. When the soul encounters a mirror, it's scared, but also fascinated. And it comes back. It always comes back. Jung spoke of the process of individuation as the path, where we become who we truly are. And this process only begins when something or someone destabilizes us so much that it tears off our masks, and you may be that someone for him. Because the way you touch his world is unusual, as if you've activated a frequency in him he didn't suspect existed, and he feels this, but can't name it yet. That's why he's changing. Look, he doesn't treat you like others. He contradicts himself only with you. He's confused only with you. He becomes more sincere, more human, more messy only with you. And this is the greatest sign. Because true love doesn't come to strengthen the ego. It comes to destroy it, to reformulate it. Perhaps you're waiting for a clear attitude, a direct gesture. I love you. But perhaps you've already received something much more. An involuntary surrender. The way he stands when he's near you. How he tries to protect you from small troubles. How he cares about your routine. How he includes you in his life without realizing it. How he seeks your gaze in silence. This is not a game. This is the soul in motion. And that's why you feel confused. Because you see all this, but don't hear confirmation. But you're not mistaken. You see with your heart, and deep down, you know. The deepest love is rarely expressed in words. It comes with gestures, with frequency, with sensations. It's when he hears your laugh and smiles alone. It's when you're sad and he wants to hug you, even if he doesn't know why. It's when you're not around, but he still carries you in his consciousness, in his body, in how he exists. And if this isn't love, then what is? Many people, because they don't know how to name these signs, end up ignoring them. And they distance themselves, they lose, they give up. But not you. You've felt this, you've seen this, and now you must decide what to do with it, because perhaps he's not ready to confess yet. But you are ready to understand. And the truth is, when two souls meet at this level, they're already one, even without a label, without definition, without promise. They've already begun to dance. And this silent dance is what we call fate. But to handle it requires more than intuition. It requires emotional balance, clarity, feet firmly on the ground. A sensitive heart, yes, but also a centered one. Because without being prepared, you can feel all this and hurt yourself. And that's why, if you feel this connection touches deep places in you, perhaps it's time to seek something that will help you deepen this self-knowledge, to maintain your peace even in the midst of love that hasn't yet surfaced. The ebook, Jung's Method, 5 minutes a day for inner peace and mental clarity, was created exactly for this, to offer you an intimate space to reunite with yourself, an easy and transforming path to your soul's power, at a time when everything outside seems uncertain. Here you'll find practices based on Jung's principles that fit into your day, but deeply touch what you feel. If this resonated with you, the link is in the comments section pinned to this video. Perhaps this is the step you've been waiting for, to turn waiting into power and doubt into presence. Have you ever wondered why, among so many people, he only changes with you? Why with others he seems to have everything under control, but when he's with you, something in him discharges, as if the shield falls, even if just for a few seconds, and in those seconds, he becomes whole, even if he doesn't realize it himself. The truth is, when one soul recognizes another, the body speaks before the mind, and not always clearly, sometimes with stammering, with laughter for no reason, or awkward silence that deep down reveals more than 1,000 statements. But have you paid attention to these signs? Or are you, like many people, waiting for words, while his soul is already screaming? Carl Jung said there are moments when the unconscious must create symptoms for the truth to come out. And in love, these symptoms manifest in behavior, in changes to routine, in impulsive gestures, in attitudes that even he tries to hide but cannot. Have you ever noticed him avoiding you? Noticed him avoiding looking at you too long? Or conversely, he watches you when he thinks you're not looking. This is one of the most frequent signs of unconscious love, the untrained gaze. A gaze that slips unintentionally. It comes without filter. He looks at you as if he sees something sacred, but then looks away, afraid of getting lost there. Now think with me. Why did he do this? Because there, in that moment of truth, he sees himself vulnerable. And for many men, vulnerability is forbidden territory, not because they don't feel it, but because they've learned that feeling is weakness, that surrendering means losing control. That truly loving means becoming a hostage. But what if the opposite is true? What if true strength lies in those who feel everything but still stay? If this question touched you, comment below writing, "I see beyond words." I want to know how many people on this channel also feel before they hear. Also recognize in silence what the other person cannot say. Because yes, you're not alone, and perhaps he's not alone either. This kind of connection, the one that transforms even without a name, is rare. It doesn't happen constantly. You don't find it on every street corner, and that's exactly why it's scary. He may even try to stick to routine. He may act as if nothing's changed. But inside, everything is different. Have you noticed he's become more attentive? As if he cares about you in ways even he doesn't understand. as if he's mindful of your well-being without even asking about it. This isn't just kindness. This is protective instinct. It's his unconscious beginning to integrate you into his world as an integral part, not just incidental. There's something in him that awakens only when you're near, a presence that calms but also activates, an energy that messes everything up but also restores. That's why he sometimes disappears, not because he doesn't feel it, but because he feels it too much. He needs to step back to try to normalize, to put things in place. But what he doesn't understand is that normal no longer exists. You've already entered his emotional field. You've already touched that layer he can no longer ignore. And this changes everything, even how he begins to include you in his life without realizing it. For example, when he mentions future plans and you're implicitly present in them. For example, when he shares memories, a song, a movie, and you're the first person he wants to see it, hear it, feel it with. And you feel this. You feel something has changed, but perhaps you're still doubting it. Because he hasn't said it directly yet. Because he's still hesitating, still hiding. And here lies the key to the mystery. True love, the earliest and rawest, rarely manifests as confidence. It comes as internal rupture, discomfort, mismatch. Because everything they were before no longer fits, and everything they will be isn't ready yet. In this moment, you are the link between these two versions of him, the bridge between who he was before meeting you and who he may need to become to stay. And this is not small. That's why he may seem more sensitive, more inattentive in some ways, more introspective, because part of him is elsewhere, digesting what the soul already understood, but what the ego still refuses to accept. Have you experienced this? Have you experienced this kind of absent presence? Write about it here in the comments. Share it to help other people who are experiencing the same thing. If you've never experienced this, perhaps you're experiencing it now for the first time. But note, loving a person who's still locked in his own walls requires strength, calm strength, quiet, but firm. You cannot force their consciousness to mature prematurely, but you can observe with compassion, with delicacy, with respect for the time of his soul. And during this process, you'll also discover you're changing. You'll discover you've become more attentive, more intuitive. You'll start feeling the world from within. You'll see between the lines what no one else notices. This love makes you more alive, and at the same time, more lonely, because it's difficult to carry a feeling inside that hasn't yet found a name in the other person. It's difficult to love in silence, to wait without promise, to care without clear reciprocity. But what if all this is gradually surrendering, even if he doesn't know it? Pay attention to the signs. He starts listening to you differently. He starts valuing things you value. Perhaps he changes small habits. Maybe he becomes more sensitive to your emotions. Maybe he shows interest in what he previously ignored. All this is his soul trying to include you in his life, not as just another person, but as someone he doesn't want to lose. And the most amazing thing is that sometimes he's still fighting it. He's still trying to maintain appearances, but the body doesn't lie. His eyes don't lie. The way he stops talking about himself to hear about you doesn't lie. This is not coincidence. This is emerging attachment. And when you realize this, when you understand the magnitude of what's being born in him, you'll also start to change. You'll no longer need crumbs. You'll no longer settle for the surface, because you understand there's depth. And this depth requires courage. Courage to wait, but also courage to protect yourself. Because not every man who feels deep feelings is ready to experience them. And your task is to catch the difference, to know when to stay and when to let go. But for now, if you've come this far, it's because you feel there's something real here, something worth understanding more delicately, something that's perhaps bigger than both of us. And right now I'd like to make you a simple invitation. If this video touched something inside you, write in the comments one word that describes what you're feeling now. Confirmation, confusion, hope, fear, or simply truth. This word may seem small, but it carries an entire universe of emotions. And perhaps by writing it, you'll begin to name what until now has only lived in the invisible world. Because that's how love works. It starts invisible, then it becomes inevitable. And if you're experiencing it, don't ignore it. Because when the soul starts to react, the body, life, fate, everything comes into motion. And what happens next can change everything. Sometimes a person begins to change, but so quietly, so imperceptibly, that even to him it seems he's still the same. But he's not. Transformation begins in the invisible, in what he feels when you're not around, in what he thinks about when he lies down at night and everything is silent, in how you appear in his thoughts, not because he forces you to, but because you simply come. It could be a smell he senses and remembers you. It could be a phrase you said that returned to him without apparent reason. It could be an everyday situation where he thinks, if only she were here now. These signs don't make a sound, but they're the strongest proof that his soul is already in motion. And this isn't romanticization. This is the human psyche in its raw state. Jung said that symbols dwelling in the unconscious are alive, and when activated by real emotions, they begin to reorganize our internal reality. You're not just a physical presence in his life. You've become an emotional symbol, an invisible reference point, an axis, and this changes everything. Have you ever heard of the Zeigarnik effect? It's a proven psychological phenomenon that shows the following. Our mind tends to remember unfinished tasks more vividly than those that have already been completed. Now stop and think about what happens when a feeling remains unfinished, when love remains undisclosed, when connection is felt but not expressed. It becomes a constant presence, an open loop, a vibration that insistently demands return. This is exactly what happens when a man is in love but still doesn't understand. You remain in his consciousness as a sequence that didn't end, and therefore everything connected to it keeps returning to you, even if he tries to deny it. Remember that time he reacted disproportionately to something insignificant? Perhaps to criticism, a comment about you, or a situation where you showed distance. It wasn't about the moment. It was about what was accumulating inside him that he hadn't yet processed. In psychology, this is called emotional transference. Jung was one of the first to notice how we project our unresolved attachments onto living figures. In other words, when you appear in his life and awaken true feeling, you also activate internal parts that were in a dormant state, and he doesn't know what to do with it. You become a mirror, and every true mirror shows both what's beautiful and what's wounded. This can explain why he sometimes comes with renewed strength and then retreats, why he seems available one day and absent the next, because love for you has perhaps become an inevitable but frightening journey for him. How many men do you know who understood that love requires fulfillment? That you must be confident, have stability, have something to offer before giving yourself. Now imagine what happens when they find love that requires only presence. They collapse, and they begin to change without understanding why. You may notice they lose their appetite, or that they've become more introspective. Their thoughts wander, something seems off, but at the same time, they've become more human, more fragile. These signs are real. They're the body's reaction to the psychic movement happening. The unconscious is reorganizing priorities. The soul is beginning to write a new chapter, and in that chapter, there's you. But how can you be sure these changes are real and related to you? Again, notice, when you're not around, if he mentions you in random conversations, if something happens and he saves it to tell you, if in moments of joy or pain, he first seeks your presence. Even if there's no contact, it means you're already part of his emotional structure. Recent studies on affective behavior show that when a deep emotional bond begins to form, the brain activates certain areas responsible for decision-making, empathy, and future forecasting. In other words, the body begins to behave as if this person is already part of its life plan, and this happens even before consciousness begins to understand it. That's why he often starts talking about the future, and you're there. Even if he doesn't say it directly, you're between the lines, in intentions, in the empty space of the sentence he didn't finish. And if this has happened to you, write a comment below. I felt this. It's not just about engagement. It's that many other people are experiencing exactly the same thing right now. And your words can serve as confirmation, a bridge, relief, because living such nameless love is beautiful, but also lonely. And it's very important to know you're not the only soul in the process of waiting, knowing, discovering. But be careful. Don't confuse absence of demonstration with absence of feeling. Behavioral science shows that many men weren't taught to recognize even the simplest emotions. The male emotional vocabulary is often limited. They know how to say anger, hunger, desire, but they don't know how to translate confusion, admiration, fascination, vulnerability, and love. True love carries all of this together. That's why it seems disoriented. It is, because you've gotten to where no one else has gotten. You've activated memories in him of something he perhaps didn't even suspect. You've become the silence between his thoughts, the body he misses even when surrounded by people, the voice that sounds when he doesn't want to hear anyone. And this is proof that something real is happening, even if he doesn't say it, even if he denies it, even if he runs away. You're already part of his transformation process, and perhaps now you're asking yourself, but how long can this continue? The answer is, until he's ready. And yes, this can take time. It can be slow, painful, confusing, but it can also be the beginning of something neither of you expected. Because when the soul recognizes, it never forgets. And this applies even to those who lack the courage to look. But here's an amazing fact. A study conducted by Syracuse University in the USA showed that true love activates the same brain areas as drug addiction, but with one significant difference. Love, when it's mutual and mature, has therapeutic power. It literally transforms the emotional structures of the brain. In other words, love heals, but only when it leaves the unconscious and finds space to exist. And at this stage of the journey, perhaps your role is to allow yourself to feel, but your role is to continue seeing, because there's nothing more valuable than being seen by someone who can't yet see themselves. And if you feel this is exactly what's happening now, that you're the reflection he avoids but returns to seek, then you're already engaged, not only in his life but in the deepest process of emotional growth he's ever experienced. And this in itself is love in its purest form. What he does with it belongs to him, but what you do with what you feel now belongs to you. And perhaps the next part of this video will help you understand even more what needs to happen. Because what happens when this love stops being only internal and begins to manifest in interactions? There comes a moment when his silence no longer hurts. It confirms. There comes a moment when you stop looking for external signs, because everything inside you already knows. That's when you understand. He doesn't need to say, "I love you," to be completely absorbed in this feeling, because there's love that can't be expressed in words. It overflows in how someone changes without even suspecting it. And now you see this. You see how he's already started adjusting his steps, how he thinks twice before making a decision, how he quietly restructures his schedule, how he begins avoiding certain situations, not because you asked him to, but because you already occupy a place in his future. And he feels this, even if he can't explain it. And here, on the threshold between what is and what hasn't yet been said, one of love's greatest truths is born. It transforms even before it's named. How many times have you felt this in the air? This strange mixture of absence and presence, doubts and certainty, waiting and meeting, as if you're living a relationship that hasn't started yet, but already exists in every gesture, in every change, in every imperceptible choice. You've become a point of emotional influence in his life, and this is rare, very rare. Most people pass through our lives without leaving a trace. They come and go. They share hours, stories, but they don't provoke change. But not you. You've become a presence that disorganizes but also reveals, because deep down, you didn't just touch his heart. You awakened his consciousness. And this is the strongest and most dangerous part of love. It's when they begin to see themselves differently through you. And this can be liberating, but also frightening. Because many people spend their whole lives avoiding this mirror. They prefer superficial relationships, repetitive rituals, predictable connections. But then you appeared, with your silence that listens, with your presence that speaks, with your way of touching without invading. And he felt this, even if he fought it, even if he denies it, even if he tries to rationalize it, because the soul cannot be silenced by logic. And perhaps now he's trying to maintain internal order, making up excuses, telling himself it's just friendship, that you deserve someone better, that he can't offer you what you expect. But all this is resistance. It's the self-preservation instinct in the face of something too big to control. Because true love requires what few are ready to offer: surrender. And emotional surrender is a breaking. It requires them to dismantle their defense mechanisms, to accept their weaknesses, to give up control, to accept uncertainty. This is a process of death and rebirth, of the ego, of beliefs, of fears. You understand this when he begins to distance himself from old versions of himself. Maybe he stops going to places he used to love. Maybe he changes his interlocutors, his friends, his values. He begins to question, revise memories, reconsider choices. And you're at the center of all this. Not as a person who demands, but as one who inspires. And that's all the difference. You didn't force anything, you simply were. And this in itself initiated the metamorphosis. You see this process in the simplest gestures. When he listens to you attentively, when he looks at you with tense silence, when he shows his vulnerability, even if just for a moment, when he admits his mistake, when he says, "I don't know how to handle this, but I'm trying." These phrases, these moments are more sincere than any rehearsed declaration. Because love that transforms doesn't dress in perfection. It manifests in raw humanity, in stumbles, in mismatches. And if you've come this far, it's because you've seen all this. And you stayed. You stayed when it would have been easier to run. You felt when it would have been more convenient to ignore. You chose to see even if he gave you no guarantees. And this is courage. Courage to love in someone else's time, to respect someone else's process without forgetting your own, to keep your heart open but stand firmly on your feet, to trust the invisible. But now perhaps you're tired. Perhaps you're asking yourself, how much longer should I stay? How long will I wait for clarity that may never come? And these are fair questions. Necessary, human, because no one should live in eternal waiting, and you have the right to be loved fully, not only silently, not only between the lines. So here's the solution. The clarity you're seeking in him must begin with you. You must ask yourself, does this love, even without a name, make me grow? Does it make me more conscious, more true to myself? Or does it trap me in a role that diminishes me? This is the most honest answer you can give, because loving someone who's not yet ready to love back can be beautiful, but it can also be a prison. And Jung reminds us, everything we deny in ourselves, we project onto others. Perhaps you see in him the part of yourself that wants to awaken. Perhaps they represent your own unconscious, your unlived, unexplored side. And by seeing him, you see yourself. And this changes everything, because when you understand that the love you feel for him is partly a reflection of the love you need to offer yourself, the game changes. You stop expecting reciprocation, and you start taking care of what belongs to you. You stop seeking answers externally. You begin building internal clarity. And in this place, something magical happens. You no longer need guarantees, because you yourself have become confident. And then he feels this. He feels something has changed. You're no longer bound by expectations. You're whole, free. And paradoxically, it's precisely at this moment that many men approach, because they understand, albeit unconsciously, that the woman who once needed an answer is now the answer herself. You become the gravitational center of your own life, and this either attracts those who are ready or frightens those who aren't yet. But in both cases, you win, because you didn't lose yourself. You didn't erase yourself. You didn't change yourself to fit into the emotional world of someone who doesn't yet know what he feels. You remained true to yourself, and in this lies the true miracle of conscious love. It's when you love without betraying yourself. Now, if you've reached this moment, don't leave this video without thinking about this. How can you turn all these feelings, this sensitivity, this awareness, into a practical life plan? How can you apply what you've learned, what you've felt, what you've seen in this person, to strengthen yourself, not only to better understand him, but to create within yourself the space necessary for this kind of love to flourish, a space of presence, entertainment, care, not only toward the other person, but above all, toward yourself. If you feel you're ready for this, what happens next will be deeply transforming, because now, more than just feeling, it's time to realize. And perhaps for the first time, you'll be ready to do this in a new way, truly, calmly, unshakably. When everything quiets down, what remains? When contact weakens, when gestures cease, when the words you've been waiting for don't come, what remains inside you? If Carl Jung taught us anything about deep attachments, it's that they don't dissipate with time. What is truth doesn't evaporate. It transforms, nurtures, or in some cases, cultivates us, even if it never materializes. That's why what you felt, and everything this video has revealed to you, must now leave the realm of reflection and transform into action. Because the pain of what wasn't said, what wasn't lived, what was left hanging, cannot be healed by waiting. It's healed by awareness, by direction, and this is exactly what we'll do now. Here's an emotional and practical strategic plan designed for those who want to deeply apply everything you've understood so far. A plan born from the amazement of listening to your soul and the courage not to give up on yourself, even when the other person still doesn't know how to find you. First, accept what you feel without filters. Before taking any step, honestly admit to yourself what exactly you feel for him, without judging, without romanticizing, without downplaying. Is it desire? Is it love? Is it identification? Is it need? Maybe it's all together. Naming feelings is the first act of soul power. Jung said that what isn't made conscious controls us like fate. This applies to what you feel too. Take pen and paper. Write by hand everything that comes to mind. What you've never said. What you're ashamed to admit. What drives you. What paralyzes you. After this, read it aloud to yourself. This is your true starting point. Second, determine what part of this is yours and what is projection. We often see in others what we want to see in ourselves. They become a symbol, a representation of that part of our soul we haven't yet awakened. So ask yourself, what about them attracts you so much? What do they symbolize for you? What part of you unfolds when you're near them? Perhaps he embodies sensitivity you hide, or depth you don't find in others. Maybe he connects you to your very essence, and that's why he's so attractive. But understand, it's quite possible that much of what you feel is an internal call, a way for your soul to say, take care of me. Third, create rituals of emotional grounding. While he hasn't yet made a decision, while his silence still resonates in you, you need to create a stable center within yourself. Start with simple rituals. 5 minutes a day in silence, just feeling your body. A playlist that connects you to what you feel without getting lost. One affirmative sentence a day. I am the space where love unfolds. Once a week, set aside time to write a letter to him, but which you will not send. Write what you want. Let your soul speak. This won't let you drown in absence, and it will reconnect you with the most important love, your own. Fourth, evaluate his movement without illusions, just presence. Observe calmly, without rushing to understand. Is he truly approaching you? Does he listen to you with his body? Does he care about you in details? Does he change for you or to be with you? Don't analyze out of necessity. Analyze with love, but with clear love. You deserve emotional reciprocity. And you can only make room for this love if you're sure you're not diminishing yourself to fit. Fifth, make decisions that respect your time, not just his. Waiting too long is also a choice, and choice has consequences. Don't trap yourself in endless waiting. Set limits for your soul. For example, I'm waiting, but meanwhile, I'm living. I love, but I don't stop loving myself. I observe, but I don't stand still. This attitude changes everything. It sends a clear, energetic signal to the universe and also to him. I'm not waiting for you. I'm choosing myself. Sixth, allow yourself to feel everything, but without freezing. You can cry over a person who never told you he loves you. You can be touched by a story that never happened. But don't turn this feeling into an eternal altar, because you also deserve someone who will be by your side. So cry, write, speak, but move forward. Turn to a psychologist, talk with friends, walk, read, laugh, live. True love doesn't require stillness. It adapts, it matures, it finds new ways to exist. Seventh, make room for the most important emotional response. The question is no longer, does he love me? Now the question is, how do I love myself while loving someone who doesn't yet know how to love me? This answer changes everything, because when you find it, you free yourself. You realize you can feel deep feelings for someone and still not live on crumbs. You understand you can cherish this connection and still open yourself to the new, the real. Now you understand that love is a portal, but the home is you. And if you've come this far, if you've felt every word, every silence, every deep point of this journey, then you're ready to live this love more consciously, more fully, more lightly, with him or without him. But this requires daily care of your soul, an intimate space to order these feelings, to name the emerging symbols, to rescue your inner voice in the midst of emotional turmoil. At this stage, I'd like to make an offer that could be your next step. The ebook, Jung's Method, 5 Daily Minutes for Inner Peace and Mental Clarity, was created exactly for such moments. This isn't a book about relationships. It's an intimate, emotional, and transforming guide for you to return to yourself every day. With brief and deep practices based on Jung's psychology, this ebook will help you better see what you feel, dissolve silent pain, reorganize your thoughts, and most importantly, reconnect with your inner world, even when your emotional world is in chaos. If you feel this is for you, the link is in the comment section pinned to this video. It's the safest place to continue this journey, now with greater presence and direction. And finally, if this video touched something real inside you, if you saw yourself at some moment in this story, please like this video. This will help YouTube bring this content to more people who, like you, are experiencing this silent and deep love. If you'd like, share your experience in the comments. You can be anonymous if you want. This is a safe space. Each word of yours can illuminate someone's path. And if you're not yet subscribed to the Philosophy of the World channel, subscribe right now. Here, every video is a pause, a whisper for the soul, a mirror for those who feel too much. Until the next video, you are not alone.